only way forward to improve the quality of environment is to get everybody involved. In India, we are using technology in innovative ways to facilitate and assist the delivery of justice. Indian courts are located across the length and breadth of our vast country. As a part of the e-courts project in India, we have ensured that no matter where a judicial officer is located, from the remote mountain tops of the Himalayas to the sandy beaches of Kerala, they are electronically connected to the National Judicial Data Grid. We have harnessed the rise of smartphone technology and telecommunications connectivity to streamline the delivery of justice, delivery of service and summons, empowering our bailiffs to reach litigants accurately and efficiently across the country. And you will realize what a dire need there is of this, because in many high courts, about 19 to 20% of the pendency is from negotiable instrument cases. And every second case is held up because summons have not been served. As we head into the future, we are exploring the use of artificial intelligence to automate simple tasks associated with the administration of justice. With a reading speed of 1 million characters per second, the volume of any data for any purpose, whether research or analysis, becomes easy to deal with. But it must be treated as a tool, and its introduction into the judicial system must be done with hesitation and caution, lest it grows in directions which affect human discretion. But probably it never will affect human discretion, and the human mind is bound to retain its supremacy. A small question and answer allays apprehensions. Would any of us have travelled to this auditorium to hear a computer speak? The conference has also presented us with an opportunity to discuss the myriad ways in which a foundational document can be interpreted. Drawing on the maturing traditions of comparative constitutional analysis has afforded us an opportunity to learn from the unique historical experiences of each other. The last occasion being 10 minutes ago, Justice Susan Cafel's speech. Finally, across the world, significant strides are being made in the employment of technology in the dispensation of justice. As I stand here today, I am conscious that there is much work to be done both in India and across the world. The two facets of globalization that have posed the greatest challenges to the judiciaries across the world are the rise of global supply chains and the proliferation of information technology. Technology has placed the world in the palms of our hands, making it possible to communicate with great ease across the world. But the widespread use of technology has also brought with it concerns over mass data collection and an individual's right to privacy. Beginning in the 16th century, the goddess Justitia, or as we are more commonly know her today, Lady Justice, has been depicted blindfold. The blindfold personifies the principle of impartiality, and that justice is blind to power, wealth, or status of the parties before her. While impartiality remains at the heart of a judge's duty, judges are called on to look beyond the parties and into the future, to anticipate future developments in the world and ensure the courts of today are ready for the world of tomorrow. The last 2 days represent the first step taken in India towards crystallizing a broader international dialogue amongst members of the judiciary from various countries. As they say, one cannot travel very far unless one begins very near. I hope that in the future, not only will this conference become a regular feature of the judicial calendar across the world, but a shining symbol of a global network of guardians against injustice. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. May I now request our Chief Guest, the Honourable President of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, to please give the valedictory address.
Chief Justice of India, Mr. Justice Sarath Bobde, Chief Justice of Australia, Madam Justice Susan Kiefel, heads of the highest courts in their countries, namely Mr. Justice Saeed Yusuf Halem of Afghanistan, Mr. Justice Syed Mahmood Hossain of Bangladesh, Dr. Justice Emmanuel Uzra Sebuza from East African Court of Justice, Mr. Justice Brian Sykes of Jamaica, Mr. Justice Ahmed Mutsim Adnan of Maldives, Mr. Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya of Sri Lanka, Mr. Justice Robert John Reed of the United Kingdom, Mr. Justice Luke Malava of Zimbabwe, Dr. Justice Dalveer Bhandari of the International Court of Justice, distinguished judges and heads of delegation from France, Ghana, Indonesia, Kenya, Malaysia, Morocco, Myanmar, Nepal, Nigeria, Peru, Russia, Spain, Sudan and Thailand. Distinguished judges of Supreme Court of India, Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Mr. Justice Sanjay Kaul, judges, jurists and members of bar from India and abroad, and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to address the valedictory session of the International Judicial Conference organized by the Supreme Court of India. In popular perception, all is well that ends well. But this conference began on a strong note. While inaugurating the conference, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I am told, highlighted the supremacy of law and lauded the role of judiciary in maintaining a delicate balance between developmental needs and the environment, as also in resolving complex issues through verdicts acceptable to all. I am also happy to note that the ethical and duty-oriented vision and expectations of Mahatma Gandhi were shared with the participants to enrich international jurisprudence. It has been highlighted that developments related to demographics and technology and awareness about rights are causing changes having wide ramifications. I am happy to note that the role of judiciary in harmonizing environmental protection and sustainable development is being given sharp focus in various countries. Similarly, the universally accepted norm of gender justice was also discussed with an approach to finding ways forward in the light of practical experiences in different justice systems represented in this conference. Here we have a galaxy of judges and jurists representing different parts of the world. Thanks to your participation in various sessions, I have no doubt about the high standards of deliberations in this conference and its impact on resolving contemporary problems in a changing world through legal interventions. The deliberations in the past 2 days, I am sure, will go a long way in enriching jurisprudence at the international level. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme chosen for the conference is timely and apt, that is, judiciary and the changing world. In a way, change is the only constant, and the world has always been changing. In recent years, however, the world has been changing very fast and in unforeseeable ways. The role of the judiciary is bound to be pivotal amid these dramatic transformations. The selection of the topics for the working sessions of the conference could not have been more meaningful. Gender justice, contemporary perspectives on protection of constitutional values, dynamic interpretations of the Constitution in a changing world, harmonization of environment protection vis-à-vis sustainable development, and protection of rights to privacy in the Internet age are issues that influence every member of the global community. These 5 distinctly defined topics cover the matrix of challenges faced by the judiciary across the world. Gender justice must remain high on the global agenda. The past decade has witnessed a debate on rising populism in the context of constitutional values. This has, in turn, led many to take a fresh look at their founding documents, the constitutions again. With the evolution of information technology, there have emerged new questions, for example, of data and privacy. Finally, the all-important concern of sustainable development should command far more attention than it does today. You have held wide-ranging deliberations on these issues and suggested measures to overcome the challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to note that the judiciary in India has been alive to these themes and has approached them in the light of the vision behind the Indian Constitution. In pursuing the cherished goal of gender justice, to mention one example, the Supreme Court of India has always been proactive and progressive. From issuing guidelines on preventing sexual harassment in the workplace 2 decades ago, to providing directives for granting equal status to women in the army this month, the Supreme Court of India has led progressive social transformation. With the same sensitivity, it has approached the emerging questions of biodiversity and sustainable development, keeping in mind our age-old ethos too. In the process, the Supreme Court has learned from the best practices of the apex courts abroad, just as the judicial systems elsewhere have emulated it in many instances too. Such exchanges should be wholeheartedly welcomed in the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is our ancient Sanskrit adage, which means the whole world is but one family. It thus calls for a holistic approach to the entire humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court of India also deserves admiration for carrying out many radical reforms that made justice more accessible to common people. Landmark judgments passed by this court have strengthened the legal and constitutional framework of our country. Its bench and bar are known for their legal scholarship and intellectual wisdom. What it has achieved is nothing less than a silent revolution in diagnosing and correcting the afflictions that adversely affected the justice delivery system. For example, the recent move towards introducing an alternative dispute resolution mechanism is expected to reduce the burden on the court to a considerable extent. Dispute resolution through mediation and conciliation would help resolve the problem amicably in an effective manner instead of resorting to a lengthy litigation process. To speed up the justice delivery, of late, the Indian courts have been adapting to new technologies and also considering the potential of artificial intelligence. We have been using information technology to ensure hassle-free proceedings in the court in high-profile cases. Evidence is often recorded through video conferencing. Technologies are being used to facilitate trial without hindrance. I note that the Supreme Court of India is also actively considering the ways to make courts paperless. This will obviously pave the way for speedy trial and delivery of quick justice. Such innovations, I am confident, will also trigger similar changes in lower courts in due course of time, benefiting more and more people. Ladies and gentlemen, I will also refer to the yeoman service rendered by the Supreme Court in making the higher courts judgments available in regional languages. This is indeed an extraordinary achievement given the linguistic diversity of India. As of now, the judgments of the Supreme Court get translated in up to 9 Indian languages to make them accessible to common people. I am sure that its scope would further widen with the passage of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all will return to your respective seats of justice and jurisprudence with a host of ideas and with the determination to implement those which have transformative impact. I am sure that the deliberations of the conference will help strengthen the judicial system not only in India but also in other countries. I am glad that the Chief Justice of India gave me this opportunity to share my thoughts with such a learned audience. I also congratulate him and his colleagues for organizing this International Judicial Conference. Building on its success, I am sure the conference will become an annual event organized in different parts of the world for consolidation of best legal practices and ideas towards helping shape a better world. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. President, sir, for your inspiring words. May I now call upon the Judge of the Supreme Court, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, to please give the vote of thanks.
Ano Bhadra Krato Yantu Vishwata. It is 5,000 years ago in Rig Veda, where it was said that the noble thoughts and knowledge